What is up, my Gaggle of Geeks? Here we are. We're gonna talk about movies and TV shows that we have seen. Well, some of us. What is up, everybody? My Gaggle of Geeks, and welcome to tonight's episode where we're talking about catch-up episode. We're talking about Ambulance, the new Michael Bay film. Well, is it new? I don't know, because there's a film that came out in 2005 that's the exact same thing, but shorter. And we saw a movie, but we can't. We could talk about it a little bit. How do we not talk about? Oh, your just camera stuff is way off here. Let me adjust this bad boy. Woo! There we go. There we go. Stand tall. Stand tall with the Batman.
Okay, we got it.
We can even small on this even more. We don't care because we are live at probably the latest we've ever done this show.
Because we just got out of seeing a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be.
But the thing is, the show used to be pretty much like exclusively at night around like 6:30 when we would start it. And then for some reason I changed the whole thing, and now we don't really have a set time at all. Like the whole pendulum is broken. But if you do join us tonight, which I'm not expecting a ton of people to, I'm glad that you're here, and that shows that you're a true geek. You know,
in the gaggle.
Mm-hmm. What was the thing that there was a Nick Cage line where he's like a goose, like he says goose at one point really loud. So geese. Good.
That's right.
Oh man, yeah, we saw the incredible weight of massive talent, and I have to say that is so much fun. This is going to be the movie. I last year it was Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. This year it's the incredible weight of massive talent. Don't make it a musical as much, but the way that they were able to use Pedro Pascal in this, how the humor worked almost on every single level, and even like the weird like self-indulgent crap that's like we're just gonna reference everything you can possibly do. It's a tribute to Nick Cage
when it was like just tracking through Nick Cage's filmography. He finally found a character that is worthy of his acting, and it's a fictionalized version of himself. Nick Cage is wonderful as Nick Cage. It's so meta, and yet there was not a single adaptation reference. That's the one I was waiting for. Charlie Kaufman. Like that whole movie is about him making a movie, and this movie turns out to be about Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal making a movie, and they don't do like a little, I guess it's not one of his like big action. It's not like cool, like Gone in 60 Seconds.
Are you kidding me? They reference Gone in 60 Seconds
and National Treasure.
There's so many. They reference so many good things. A full review will be coming later on as the film is going to get released. We saw it pretty dang early. So it debuted at South by Southwest. I'm not giving my review. You're going to ask for my rating?
No. What's your favorite Nick Cage movie ever?
Well, I haven't seen all of them. So I can't.
That you've seen.
I haven't seen the ones that have made Nick Cage synonymous with crazy. Like I've seen the post ones. I've seen the commercialized Nick Cage where it's just, National Treasure or things like that. I've heard and seen clips of like, whatever the one where he's in the business suit. They had a clip of that in the movie. The guy that he keeps interacting with. I haven't seen that movie. I believe I've seen Raising Arizona, but it's been all recent.
That's like Coen Brothers.
It's been all recent, so I can't. But if you're gonna allow me the chance to just go recent, probably Pig.
Okay. I mean, Pig was in my top 10 last year also.
Pig needed to be nominated, man. It got snubbed hard. It got snubbed. They were sniffing for truffles, and they got smacked in the face and killed like the pig. It was horrible, dude. No? You disagree?
I liked Pig.
Which deserves it more? Don't Look Up or Pig?
Pig.
Okay, there we go. That's all I need. I just need that. I need a little bit of agreement in some cases with this.
You got it.
Speaking of agreement, I think we can agree on should we talk about what we're geeking about, or should we just go straight into reviews?
I mean, I can be geeking about the fact that today's Wednesday, and that means it's Moon Knight Day, and then boom, segue.
All right. Well, with that being said,
it's Gaggle of Geeks. What are you geeking about?
So what was that? What is that you're geeking about?
Today is Wednesday. It's Moon Knight Day. I'm geeking about Moon Knight.
Oh my gosh, it's Moon Knight Day. So that means we're going to be talking about Moon Knight and a little bit of Morbius too, right? Just because.
Keep it in the comic book world.
Keep it in the comic book world and give some good examples of real difference in quality.
Yeah. So also speaking about geeking and comic books, today is when Doctor Strange tickets went on sale. And I got myself some of those too.
Oh, very nice. They put out a new kind of TV spot / trailer of it too.
Yep, it hit during the national championship game on Monday.
Definitely not a lot of spoilers in that one. Like, there's not anything. If anything, the first trailer said more than this new one.
Honestly,
so they're keeping things close to the chest, especially because we're literally a month away. So, dude, I'm pretty pumped for that movie. I'm excited for it. But what did you think of the first episode of Moon Knight, which came out last week? And then we'll talk about the second episode and where you think it's going from there.
So one of the things I love about where we are just in the world of Marvel right now is that we are beyond the comic books that I've read. Now, once we start bringing Fantastic Four and X-Men into the MCU, then I'll start like, oh, hey, I recognize that like weird X-Men character. But Moon Knight, never read a single book on him. So like you go to the Wikipedia page and you have all these fans complaining, oh, this isn't how Moon Knight is in the comics. Like, I don't care. This is now my Moon Knight because Moon Knight is obscure enough that we're getting introduced, and that's the way that a lot of people have come into the MCU. And it's kind of new for me because I was a geek before all of this, but I love him as a character. Like, it's just, he grabs the mild manner, Oscar Isaac's a professional. Like, not everyone that has been in comic book movies necessarily had like the most decorated filmography before. I mean, you have,
take for instance Oscar Isaac in X-Men Apocalypse. Like, he's not too far off with having a lot of experience with both the indie and being like an auteur actor, and also being a commercial actor with Star Wars and with X-Men.
Right, but you can tell he's bringing a little bit more, I think, than we've come to expect from the MCU.
It feels like he's allowed more.
Yeah.
Because it's not that he didn't bring the heat when he needed to, right? Poe Dameron wasn't supposed to be a lasting character. That character was supposed to die, but he was so good that they continued that character. I feel like with this, they were just like, here are the reins, take them and show us what you want to do with this character that is obscure. The Kevin Feige, I think, have said that he loves.
Yeah. So the fans that like him are into it, but it's pretty different from the comics. And so you get an actual mild-mannered Oscar Isaac. He's given a couple like generic MCU jokes in the second episode that I didn't love. But
the first episode he plays Stephen, and Stephen is from an English town where they talk like this, you know what I mean?
And
it's about, and if you were offended by that, don't watch Moon Knight, because that's pretty dang close to what Moon Knight actually sounds like. On my waking life, I thought I was another guy, but it turns out we're both the same guy, just in the same body.
Yeah. So he turns out he like shares the body of this, I guess, U.S. Army veteran guy that was on the verge of death before an actual god saved him and servituded him. And so now servituded him.
It's not what it sounded like to me.
And
I don't even think that's a word. I think that was just a fancy way of saying serviced him. Servituded him.
That's not this TV show.
You're leaning back in your chair like, I said what I said. Yeah. Well, he's got a horrible job at that museum. I don't even know exactly what it is. He just picks up stuff.
He's a gift shop guy.
He's a gift shop guy that has an uncanny knowledge of every Egyptology thing that's happening there. So I'm wondering if it was something like he came in wanting a position. They're like, oh, you could start at the bottom.
Well,
it'll be good. You'll work your way up.
Like his manager is always like, Steven, I'm not going to give you the tour guide job. Like 3 times in that first episode, you can tell it's like, that's his great aspiration in life, is just to be a museum tour guide, which is kind of, that puts you in the lane of who this guy is. Now he's a superhero. You
know what I do like about his Steven side? You look at some of the characters in like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Electro, how Matt Dillon was kind of just a loser, but like a pathetic loser.
Is that his
like
name?
To the point where it's just kind of absurd, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like he's sitting there singing happy birthday to himself while trying to like connect stuff. In this, Steven definitely is a loser. Like, there's no other way to put it. He's kind of a loser. But it's also interesting that he is aware of what's causing the issues with him, but still doesn't really know how to control.
It's sad. It's pretty real. Yeah.
Very realistic, not necessarily done just for jokes. And I mean, maybe the accent will throw it off a little. It threw it off for me, I'll be honest. Like, it took a couple episodes for me to be like, all right, fine. Yep, I'm in. Maybe it's because we've seen Oscar Isaac in so many things without that accent. This is the first English accent I've ever heard on him.
See, I believe it out of
off.
Oscar Isaac, though. You know what? It kind of, I mean, this part of it reminds me. Did you ever watch Orphan Black?
I watched the first couple
so
seasons. I love Tatiana Maslany.
Maslany. She's going to show up in the MCU.
She-Hulk.
She's going to be She-Hulk. Orphan Black's wonderful because, and so the concept of that one is that she is cloned, or I don't know. Basically, there's a lot of
her.
a lot of different her, and she has a different accent and a bunch of different things, and so that's kind of what I was thinking. And it's got an MCU tie-in.
That's true, and you could even compare it a little bit to Split.
Yeah, I mean, it's the dissociative identity disorder shtick, but this is better so far.
So, with that being said, what did you think about Ethan Hawke's character? Ethan Hawke is kind of a cult follower. You have your opening shot of Moon Knight here that's got him putting his feet into glass, Die Hard style, into his shoes. And you just hear kind of jingling just walking around, which I think is kind of a hilarious sound effect in a way, where it's not just pierced straight into him, it's still like rattling around like a spur.
Sounds nice.
But it's unrealistic.
Okay.
I think they would just be stabbed inside of him. Like they would have been
sounded
pierced so
cool.
far. I know, but like Batman did too, but you didn't say a lot about Batman's footsteps. That's all I'm saying. Marvel shill over here, Cole. Just a Marvel. It's late. What are we talking about? Did you like the first episode? Yes or no?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Second episode. What do you think?
So now we actually get to see him do the superhero stuff. First episode, I think, was better because it did the more artistic thing where you don't show, like, it did the cutaways very well. It kind of put us in the world of Steven, how confused that he is, all of the stuff going around him. Eventually, it's a superhero show, and so you got to show it. And so the second episode like suffers a little bit, but it's cool. And
it's a mind effort. The whole series is a mind F, and they do a lot about much to do about that when they're traveling to a different place, and he'll black out, and suddenly he wakes up, and like 5 people are dead around him, and holding a gun, and he has no clue how he did that.
Wonderfully done.
That whole chase sequence, some of the worst visual effects I've seen in the Disney Plus series so far was in that green screen when they opened that back door to the van was like yikes, and someone needs to look closer at that. But the feeling, the intention of the scene all still worked really well, and I loved how they were able to make it still humorous through the whole thing. Like they made it a funny like gag, basically, to be like anytime like it's about to get really really serious, they're like, this is a Disney Plus show. We don't have that budget. And then we just cut to where it was something.
No,
else
it was
instead.
Tasteful, and it was a choice.
I know,
but
it could maybe also be like we save a couple pennies a little bit. We save a couple of them Disney bucks.
The
Use
first
that
episode,
to make a ride.
It's the best pilot that Disney Plus has had so far. I'll say that.
That's interesting.
Out of any of their shows,
I would say WandaVision was stronger.
So you're speaking my language. WandaVision is my favorite thing that Disney Plus has done so far.
Nice,
but like I watched those 2 episodes back to back, and it is a lot of setup, and it's slow, which I enjoyed. I liked that they took their time. Can't do that in a movie. Can do it on Disney Plus. That's why we're on Disney Plus. But Moon Knight, just awesome. I think the Oscar Isaac of it, and the more focused in, and the more just like it's grounded. It's superhero as opposed to doing something else.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Do you think they kind of shot themselves in the foot when they were saying this is going to be the darkest Marvel property we've seen? Because my biggest
you care about
complaint
hype,
of the
and
first...
I don't. I don't.
No.
Watch
I'm not talking about
I
hype.
watch,
I'm talking
like,
about
Twitter.
if you're saying that this is violent, be violent.
But did they? Like, so
they aren't that violent.
I didn't hear
you now have to measure it against the Daredevil series in my mind. If you've put that on Disney Plus and you're now marketing it as a Disney property, right?
Yeah.
You're now saying that there's a new threshold for violence, basically, that you can get to.
That they're not going
there's
to
a few
do.
times where they were like, "This is going to be a really violent show. That's going to really show a lot of stuff." To me, it's like there's a little bit more blood in some moments, but I believe at the same time that wasn't there this new.
I don't remember a single drop of blood. Like maybe it's there. But...
There's like blood on the knife. A couple shots.
Okay.
Yeah, when they black out and wake back up, if you look closer at people, but they don't have anything that to me would necessitate that. In fact, I think just recently there's news that they accidentally put out an edited, clean version of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It lends to me that they're probably going to try their best to keep it as PG-13 as possible,
Yeah, of course
regardless
they
if they do another Daredevil series.
No, if Disney is producing it, it will be PG-13, not R.
But I don't think
TVMA.
Daredevil's going back to R, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm pretty sure
that is what I'm
Daredevil is
saying.
now going into.
Yeah, if they're going to do another Daredevil, it's going to be just the level of Moon Knight.
But maybe not Deadpool.
Deadpool.
But maybe not.
We still don't know.
Maybe not Deadpool. That's the only one where I'm like,
I don't know if that's going to
That
have
really-
the Disney framework on it. I don't know if it's going to have the MCU thing on it. So
Yeah.
it's going to just stay under kind of
well,
the search.
it
the
is
Fox
going to. It's going to
or
be
whatever banner.
co-produced. So maybe the co-production part might make
That
it feel
sneaks
more
you
like
away.
a Sony deal.
Mhm.
But even Sony, they don't have the balls to do anything.
Yeah, Sony's bad. Are we going to transition
all
there?
Sony does is set up and disappoint you. That's all they do. Hey, get ready for this movie coming out never. And I hope that you've been excited for this whole movie with a character that has nothing to them. Oh my goodness. Is that the segue?
Yeah. Let's do
All
it.
right. I do think that Moon Knight is going to be very exciting. I watched the first 4 episodes and there's only 6, which is shocking that
Yeah.
they gave us that much to watch. Because it's like, all right. I will say the 4th episode, something happens. A big switch happens. That is
Okay.
very exciting and gets me even more pumped for what we're about to see. And it does go more into the ludicrous side of things, which I like as well.
Yeah,
So, Luda, let's do this.
Yeah, I don't care when the directors or the actors go on like talk shows and say this will be the most violent MCU thing ever, because that's just actor speak. That's press
I'm all about
speak. And
sell. You sell it the right way.
I don't
And
care.
Marvel is tight-lipped, so anything that comes out.
Yeah, so I don't care. I don't listen to any of it. That does not even move the needle for me. And so I didn't come in thinking, oh boy, this is going to be Daredevil. I came in thinking, okay, it's another MCU show.
Well,
And
it's
it has
because you
been.
didn't hear about that.
Because I specifically avoid stuff like that so that I'm not disappointed.
But do you avoid? So you avoid it because you know you would have an emotional reaction either way.
No,
So it's
I
not
don't
that you
care.
don't care about it.
I've
it's
seen
that
it
you're
come
avoiding
across
it
my
to hide
timeline.
an emotional reaction.
No, I see it come across my timeline and I don't give it the time of day
I
because
don't
it
know.
doesn't deserve it.
What do you mean it comes across your timeline? Like, does an actual
On my
thread?
Twitter timeline.
I know a Twitter timeline. I'm asking, does it actually give you the spoiler, or does it say, "I can't believe it just happened with whatever"? And
So
then do you avoid it, or do you get the spoiler and then you close it out?
I guess I've seen spoilers, but no, when you talk about something like this, I saw the like backlash on the Falcon and Winter Soldier, like blood removal scene.
Mhm.
And I saw it and I saw the picture and then I just kept scrolling because that does not matter to me. And so the same thing, like if I had seen some Moon Knight person say this will be the most violent MCU show ever, I would have seen it. I would have kept scrolling. That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just going to watch my show.
Well, that makes it really hard to have a podcast where we inflate things and talk
Because
crazy about stuff.
Not everything needs inflated. This is the problem with
This is the problem with
you
what?
just enjoy.
This is the problem with
you
problem with Gaggle of Geeks.
Watch things and enjoy
what we're
them,
saying?
Patrick.
I enjoy them, and I'm allowed to want to see all the spoilers I want and still enjoy it. I knew the Batman spoilers for years. I knew what was gonna happen, and I still liked it.
You knew
either
the
way.
Riddler was his father the whole time?
I knew the flood was coming. I knew they were gonna flood Gotham, and I knew that there was gonna be a Thomas and Martha Wayne twist. Those are 2 very critical parts of the movie.
I played the
I
Telltale
still watched it.
Batman.
I still loved it.
Played the
Still
Telltale
worked.
Batman video game, and they have a Thomas and Martha twist in that too. So
And it has precedence. It's in the comics, and there's really only one Batman. And any other property that tries to be Batman, a bat that's also a man,
let's do it.
can kick rocks. Because I don't really think that movie's worth anything. Honestly, this is what the whole film is. It's just it's so bad. You saw Morbius, right?
I saw Morbius.
Okay. The difference in quality, first of all, between this and Moon Knight, this and really any property that's come out in the past couple of years that's in the superhero genre.
This
It's
and any
crazy
movie
how
that's
much it
come out in
regresses.
2022. This and it's the bottom of all those lists.
Yeah, it's rough. And you know it's weird? I don't blame Jared Leto as much for it, but there is a behind the scenes fact that is hilarious, and this is what you're missing out on. Get this.
He took 45 minutes to go to the bathroom because he like wanted to be a
Did
cripple.
you just ruin my buildup?
It's
just
not
ruined
that
my setup?
entertaining.
You
It
just
doesn't
ruined my-
mean anything to me.
You didn't let me make a meal out of that. You just threw it back in my face.
It means nothing. Jared Leto is
Oh
method
my
acting
God.
again, folks.
Are you kidding? I'm
Who
going to show you
cares?
why it means something.
Who cares?
This is what Jared Leto. So Jared Leto plays a character Michael Morbius.
Do you want me to man the camera while you get?
No.
up
I'm
and
gonna do it the way I want to do it.
cripple?
Anytime he had to go to the bathroom, and Jared Leto is a method actor. He likes to stay in character. We've known the story about, Joker and the pig and all that nasty crap. But he insisted that he had to stay in the disabled mindset, I guess, in whatever mindset the Michael Morbius was in, to go to the bathroom. And I swear, this is from the director who confirmed it. It took about 45 minutes for him to get to there and back, until they finally had to make an arrangement with him that they would put him on a golf cart to drive him to the place, but he had to stay the same. So here's why this would be funny. Imagine you're just one of those guys holding like a green thing. You're a prop dude in the back just holding a green thing. You haven't had any food like this whole time. And then you just hear bathroom. And then you look up and suddenly
that means we can all take an hour and get our food. You're gonna run out of headphone cord at some point. This will come back to bite you, I promise.
I'm just letting it. I'll use your mic as I'm going. See, I'll be right back. Thanks. You're all working very hard. You know how many millions of dollars they probably wasted for that guy to just be a dick?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
He's terrible.
And that's why that was funny, because you make a meal out of it. Even if it maybe does or doesn't work. It only works if you sell it.
I'm happy for you. That's the Nick Cage
America.
approach, right?
What?
The Nick Cage approach. It only works if you sell it. If you just go all in.
I guess, but it doesn't work for Jared Leto sometimes. That's what I'm saying.
All.
Sometimes it really does work and it gets him an Oscar. Sometimes it really doesn't work and it gets him a Razzie. It goes both ways with Jared Leto. And it's interesting because I don't think that he could ever be as self-indulgent in like an incredible weight of massive talent thing. Like he's way too ultra serious about his stuff. He thinks he thinks him a Daniel Day-Lewis, and he's not that so much as he is. I don't know. What would you put him as?
He's bad.
Yeah, but he's the kind of actor that is both full of himself and also like unaware of how silly. He's the Derek Zoolander of actors.
Yeah, it's that kind of pretension that just doesn't sink in. Like he does. Yeah, you said he doesn't realize how moronic all the stuff that he does is, because he thinks that he's doing it for maybe. When reviews keep coming back over and over again that he is awful, that this isn't worth it, that the movies that he make are bad, maybe eventually it will humble him to the point of like.
Do you honestly think he reads one review? He's on an island somewhere. He goes to his island and then they call him back so he can make more money, so he can.
So maybe we stop
bring more
him,
people to the island.
Producers, Jared Leto is not selling tickets, right?
He's what?
He's not selling tickets. The name of Jared Leto is not bringing you to the box
30
office.
Seconds to Mars fans. He does have a platform between the two. And how else are there people on that island? Like it's not like, I hope it's not a Jeffrey Epstein situation, but he has an island. When you have an island, I have questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like why? What are you doing over there? What's so fun over there? And why don't you have like transparency of what's going on?
It's method acting.
And why didn't you know COVID-19 exists? Morbius is garbage, except for Matt Smith. I think Matt Smith actually was fun in the movie. The scene where he's dancing around and like just being silly. That's the most I've ever seen him. I haven't seen Doctor Who, his stuff for Doctor Who. Okay. It's the most I've ever seen him actually like just emote and do stuff. Every other film, he's really just been stale bread. Not really much of anything.
He's been like Doctor Who was his breakout, and he was younger then, and he's like such a genuine kind of a good guy until like his ego kind of goes out of control. The character, anyway. He's been villains since then. And he has that sharp, evil face. So the vampires in Marvel have always been drawn a specific way. They were in the Spider-Man animated series as well. And his just natural face lends itself to being exaggerated by CGI in this movie. And so he works as the villain in that way. He's acting, he's having fun. He knows what movie he was supposed to be in, and that's a sort of Venom 1, where you can do a ridiculous thing, but it's not going to be good. No one else in this, it was terrible everywhere else.
I don't know. It's also clear that No Way Home changed a lot of stuff. If you watch the trailers for Morbius, there's a lot of things that Michael
Where'd Keaton
was in.
go?
Yeah, barely. He went to the after credit scene with some of the worst after credit scenes that's ever been put to a film.
So do you want to do some reckless speculation about like
Speculation?
what was going on here? Because Morbius was supposed to come out before Spider-Man No Way Home, originally on the calendar. You know, we've talked about how often it's been pushed. So they originally filmed, we know, a ton of scenes with Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton has done interviews where he said,
do we know a ton? We only know the voiceover of, there's a voiceover shot, and there's a shot of him outside the prison when Morbius is going into the prison.
He's said in interviews that he had done a lot more.
But is it a lot more of one? You see what I mean? Like maybe he always had just one scene, but they just kept changing the scene. And so he did a lot.
He had he had interviews where he said, I don't know how I'm here. I don't know what this connects, but they just asked
That's
me
pretty
to
much
come.
what the after credit scene is.
We don't know how we got here.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
So he was gonna be a bigger part of it. He wasn't in No Way Home, and so they didn't need to feel beholden to anything that was going on there.
I think this was going to be Tom Holland's universe, and they're changing it. I think that's the difference. I think it was going to be the big announcement that Tom Holland was now going to be part of the Sonyverse after the 3 Homecoming, and that it was going to start leading into the Sinister Six. That's what makes the most sense to me if they were doing anything.
I don't think
Andrew
Disney was
Garfield,
gonna let go.
I think, changed some stuff. And maybe they're thinking, how do we incorporate him into that? Which is why, spoilers a little bit for the after credits scene, the Vulture's outfit's the same one that's teased in the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
so there's precedence.
Someone was it you that told me that? Like, did we have that conversation? Because I looked on the internet to see what nerd said that, and I couldn't find it
Reddit.
Anywhere.
Well, you won't go on it because it's a spoiler stuff.
No, I specifically, after I heard it from someone, I tried looking it up when I was writing my review because I was going to make a joke about it. But because I was going to make a joke about that stupid Hall of spinoffs that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 has. Like, it's that Vulture costume that's so egregious in that movie. And so, yeah.
What if instead of Michael Keaton showing up, it's Morbius? He gets out of whatever stupid thing. I don't know what he's doing. Gets out of his dumb coffin or something. And he just sees this big metallic like robot thing. The rhino head pops up and it's Paul Giamatti. He'll say, "Hey, Morbius, would you like to join me?" I think that would be a much better tease.
It would fit the tone.
I would be so into a Paul Giamatti, Jared Leto crossover event.
Yeah, you have the whole multiverse to play with. Sony can do whatever they want because they've opened, like, even just Into the Spider-Verse. I said this after the animated movie came out. Like, Sony can do whatever they want. They can have a whole separate thing going on and have Spider-Man in these movies, and yet they're not.
Well, they are. They're trying to build it the way that the MCU did at the beginning, but
yet.
with supervillains. They want to do a supervillain origin, then make that the big team up. Dude, it's not.
Every single one is bad.
I don't understand why they're trying to make these characters also anti-heroes. If in the end we're going to have to root against them because Spider-Man is fighting them.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Jared Leto even cares about Michael Keaton's character, because in the end he's not actually really a bad guy. He just needs blood.
Yeah.
Like there was really nothing else to that character.
He had one moment on a, spoilers for Morbius, no one cares. He had one moment on a ship where he killed a bunch of dudes that were also objectively worse dudes. So he went on one killing spree when he couldn't control his little vampire urges. And other than that, he was basically a hero. That's not a villain.
Nope. And Tyrese Gibson is not a straight man in a cop duo. That was the weirdest, one of the weirder choices.
Okay, wait.
That dude
did he have a mechanical
to be
arm?
silly, and you laugh at the silliness. Who? What?
Did Tyrese Gibson? So other things I was reading afterwards, his character in the Marvel universe is someone with like a mechanical arm. I didn't get it then. No, Tyrese was normal the whole movie, right?
Well, I don't know. Define the Tyrese I know.
He had
That's
all
normal,
of his limbs.
is
though.
always in a car going, "My ass is in fuego," and he didn't do any of that in this movie. He was
weird.
like, "Do you want to talk to me?" And then just like that was it. That was all of his dialogue. That was all he would do. And then he had a buddy cop that was like trying. I know him from the Daily Show. He does some correspondence stuff with that.
He was being the funny guy.
He wasn't funny. He wasn't funny to me, dude. None
No,
of
it's
these
bad.
jokes worked at all. The fact that Jared Leto even did a Venom reference was like, this is the cringiest thing.
And it was better in the trailer. Like they do like
They
in
finished
the
it.
trailer, they
the
finish
joke.
and it says like, no, I'm just kidding. It's Dr. Morbius.
And then
at your
they
service
just
or
set it
whatever.
up and move on. It's ridiculous.
So bafflingly bad editing.
Super
all
dark
across.
all the time. The effects, like, they work because it's shrouded in darkness everywhere. You barely have time to like make out the vampire faces and stuff. They don't do a lot of focusing on any of that. There's a tease at the end for the girlfriend, whatever. I don't care.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, she wakes up. That's
Okay.
all. That's about it for it. This I don't know. You were talking about Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. This feels like a Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance kind of movie where it's like, I don't know who. This must have been caught in some weird trap where all of the plans that they had just could not work anymore. And so this is just a weird Frankenstein monster of what they're planning to do moving forward and what they hoped that they could do. And it's just a mess.
Speaking of Frankenstein, we haven't seen a universe bafflingly this bad since the Dark Universe. When
It barely. I don't even think there was one Dark Universe.
there was one Dark Universe
and it was
movie,
The Mummy.
and it was The Mummy, and then they had like a cast photo. Sony has only we've had 3 of
So
their
is it a
movies, and
universe?
they're all bad.
I don't think that's a universe.
They
though.
pitched themselves as a universe more than Sony has pitched their universe.
Well, sure, but you can say the Bill
And
and
it's
Ted universe
just
is great,
as
but it's
bad.
not like a universe. I feel like is one that's actually spent decades and has a registry. That
So
they can
Sony
call
doesn't
to.
count yet either.
Hunger Games, you could call one.
Those are just sequels. They're based on stuff. We're talking about like
That's what I'm saying.
interconnected universes.
Oh, what are these based off?
It's comic books. No, it's separate property. A
A
universe. Hold on. This is a dumb argument.
I got
A
you.
universe is a bunch of different properties that come together to make one connected.
If you've made
tissue.
one movie, you're not a universe.
They were.
If you've made one movie, you're not a universe.
What I'm saying is that there hasn't been a universe this
it
bad
was
since the Dark Universe failed, and it failed so spectacularly because they never even got the rest of it off the ground.
Yeah. You can maybe even say
But-
Fanforstic is a little bit like,
Well,
because
no,
at
that
least
was
they
just-
have like history with other films and stuff. And
But they are specifically going in. This is the backwards
know.
Marvel approach, right? Fanforstic, they were just making a movie. Like they weren't trying to like set a bunch of things up so they could come together later.
all right.
They're all just in the Fantastic Four thing, right? Sony is specifically doing things backwards because Marvel succeeded and said, hey, we can do all these things and bring people together. So Sony is putting their cart before their horse and saying, we're going in with a plan of having this whole big universe without taking the time and making a single good movie setting it up. That was the Dark Universe's problem. They had a set photo where they said, we're going to have all these individual movies and we're going to bring them together and it's going to be a Marvel universe, but with horror dudes. And then the only movie that got produced was terrible. Sony is doing the same thing.
They're doing the Marvel formula. They're not reversing it. I think their
No,
issue
they're
is
bad
they're
at it.
taking one-note villains that really just have a basic origin story and trying to see if they can make it a 2-hour, 15-minute movie. And it can't happen because Spider-Man is inherent. The DNA of Spider-Man is in all of these characters. And when you don't have Spider-Man in these films, it feels weird. Venom 2, they work, but they feel weird. Like
No, the
not
Venom
having
movies are
Spider-Man
bad
in those
too.
just feels strange. Morbius not having Spider-Man feels strange. So I think they should have just focused on building new heroes in this. Maybe like introduce Miles Morales in live action. Do something that's different than like we're building up for this mysterious Spider-Man that we really don't have any confirmation is actually going to exist yet.
The concept is not what's bad, it's the execution, right? I'm okay if you like have 6 individual villains that are interesting and you can make good movies about, and then eventually they fight Spider-Man and we bring Spider-Man in later. That's not a problem to me. I think that's actually really cool that they could do.
You want
that.
a Green Goblin, like a well done Willem Dafoe Green Goblin solo film? I don't.
No,
I,
well, not
because
Willem
they
Dafoe,
don't
because he's
work unless
already
Spider-Man's in it.
they. So
They just
the
don't
bad
work.
thing about Morbius is they had to give him a villain to fight, and
Because
so it's
he
just
needed to be the hero. Because they didn't have a damn hero.
because
Because they didn't have one.
So he's supposed to be a villain. If you're gonna set these up to be villains, then
Make
have
them villains. That's
fight
what
a
I've been
hero.
saying. Like, you got to make these people actual villains. Don't Cruella this shit. Make them actual
Cruella's
villains.
still good. Milo
She's
doesn't
not a
exi-
villain. She wears fake fur and signs with PETA.
Matt Smith doesn't exist in the comic books. They just made
No, that
evil
character
version
exists.
of. No, they created him for
Bloodthirst, I think is his name.
I mean, it's inspired. Like Morbius fights other vampires, but it's not some kid from his.
No, it is his. Well, the kid origin story. I don't know if that's the case, but who his character actually is a comic character.
Not
Same way as like
really.
who's the guy Crossbones from Civil War? Same way that
that was
is,
awesome.
Where it's like
having that just little drop in,
but it's a switch up. It's not necessarily what the character was in the comics, but it is that name. Like even if they don't,
they
say
never
it,
call him
people know.
Bloodthirst.
They never
It's
call
just
Spider-Man Spider-Man.
They're-
They're like, ever spent that web guy? And then it's just somebody walking past and you barely hear it. Or like there's a trailer shot of a Spider-Man and then they don't
That's
have
not
it
in the movie.
film. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
They don't know what they're doing yet. And I
Anyway.
think they still think that eventually one of these films is going to stick and that we're going to say that's the one that we really like and they're going to spearhead that person.
Well,
into
Venom
it.
made a lot of money, and so they thought they could, but Venom was still bad. The villain in Venom was just bad Venom doing the same exact thing. The villain in Venom 2 was Carnage, which is just another Venom that does the same thing.
But
The
that movie
villain in
was a rom-com.
The
more than
villain in
anything.
Morbius is just another vampire that does the same thing. Like,
Mhm.
for as much flack as early Marvel movies got for having boring villains, these Sonys have been awful with their villains.
No, they're not good. I'm not going to deny that.
Like, remember, do you know what the villain
It's
in
because
Ant-Man?
they're missing out on actually building the villain.
Do you remember who the villain in Ant-Man was? Like, what his name was?
Bumblebee,
No, Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket.
But yeah, he's basically a Bumblebee, but he just does the same thing that Ant-Man does. Like,
there's some rumor that he's apparently showing back up in something.
which fine, but
That'd
like that is the laziest
actor.
way to have it. House of Cards,
Mhm.
good stuff. That's the laziest way to build a villain, and to do that, Sony now 3 times in a row has just been terrible.
Yeah. Well, tell us what you guys think about Morbius. We have our thoughts. Tell us yours.
Bad.
Keep the comments civil. We don't have comments. Let's move to the next thing, which is more reviews. And we're moving into this weekend with Michael Bay and with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Very different films. One for the kiddies and one for the adults. We had a chance to know. I messaged you asking if you wanted to watch Ambulance, and you got a little you were persnickety with me.
I think my exact quote was "lol no."
Lol, no. You might have missed out on a decent Michael Bay film, to be honest. Like, as far as his list of films, this is the least incoherent and the least like baffling in a lot of ways. Like, Anthony Hopkins isn't talking about Excalibur to a Transformer, so
Okay,
there's a
yeah.
lot of stuff that
That's bad.
it's a little bit more cohesive for that. This stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Jake Gyllenhaal, and I forget the lady's name, but she's from Baby Driver. Basically, the two are brothers. They have to do a bank robbery. One of them wants to get money to take care of his wife, who's got this ailing disease that no insurance will cover, and he's a vet, so he's trying to make things work with that. And the other brother basically is a criminal, like a straight up criminal. His dad has a history of being one of the biggest bank robbers in the world that never got caught or something, and so he has a little bit of a complex of wanting to show up his father. But everything goes wrong in this bank robbery. They have to escape in an ambulance, which they don't realize has one of the cops that they wounded inside it, with the paramedic who's played by that woman. And they're now in a high-speed chase while also trying to save the cop's life so they don't go to prison for life and maybe get out of it with all the millions of cash that they have. Sound interesting?
Yeah, I got that from the trailer.
It's not too bad. It's an interesting premise.
Ambu LA ants
Mhm.
came up on the screen.
I know, right? You get that, right?
Oh, is it set in LA?
LA. Yeah, I got it.
Oh, yes. Freaking Yes.
Yeah,
that was
this
awful.
I think this was a good suspense film, but it's a Michael Bay film still. So I would say that if you have, I don't know, an aversion to like the out of place jokes that like really only work for people that have truck nuts on their car, it's it's not, might not be the best for you. But if you like a suspense thriller, this actually is a pretty decent one, and it's got some fun stuff to it.
Okay. I like Michael Bay stuff.
Yeah.
You're not gonna sell me.
You're
like,
giving me nothing, man. You're just okay. No questions, no follow up. You want to know any of my other thoughts about it?
I mean, how similar is it to another like other Michael Bay movie? Like,
I'm glad you asked.
Are you a
I'm
Michael
glad
Bay
that you're
guy?
interested in wanting to know about this.
I'm not interested in the ambulance.
You should be interested to know what I have to say. I don't know. Let's just move over to Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
No, I'm checking to see what else
Sonic
is coming
the
out
Hedgehog
this weekend.
2. It is late, people, and we're gonna wrap this up.
All right.
Sonic 2, Ben Platt's back. It's focusing on the Hedgehog now. We've got some new characters coming in. Ben Schwartz too. Platt and Schwartz, actually. You didn't know this, but
Dear Evan Hansen too.
Platt did all the ADR work
Oh.
while, the other guy did the voice, but they're not going to talk about that because that's,
Ben Platt truly is the
that conspiracy of Ben's that we always hear. Ben Affleck did the motion capture.
Yeah, there it is.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of weird stuff happening there.
Sonic 2 was also bad. I saw 2 bad movies recently, Morbius and Sonic 2.
You like Sonic 1?
Loved Sonic 1. Sonic 1 was a pleasant surprise.
Why didn't this live up to the hype to you?
It was disappointing.
Why wasn't this a hit as Sonic 1 was? Because to me, it's more of the same.
Sonic 1 was cute because the relationship between him and James Marsden was like it started with like James Marsden,
the human character story.
That was the only good part of Sonic 1 was that James Marsden kind of brings it down, gives us a story to like work with. He and Sonic's relationship and them like figuring each other out, biting back and forth. They were unlikely friends, and then they come to save each other in the end. Marsden is just like shoved into Hawaii early on in this movie
because the human story is not what people are there for. The kids are not there to learn about James Marsden's family troubles or about his life or what he's doing. They're there for Sonic. And the fact that I think they delved more into Sonic, maybe the story wasn't as fleshed out as it could. They kind of go for the traditional Marvel superhero route. And like the video games, you end with a big massive villain, you have a big showdown, all that stuff. So what does it mean to be a hero? Which every superhero film does in the second movie.
Is that
it's like, wait, should we do it? Yeah, they do it at the beginning for like 3 seconds, and then they kind of double back to it towards the end. But we have introductions of new characters. We've got Knuckles, who's voiced by Idris Elba, who I think is hilarious in this. I think he works really well. And then we have the other character. Oh, what is the Nut? What's his name?
Did you not grow up playing Sonic?
Yeah, I guess I did. Tails.
Yeah,
Tails.
there you go.
Why'd have Nut? That's a weird one.
Because he has 2 tails. They have that explanation in the movie.
I still don't know why I thought Nut was the one.
He's also not a squirrel. He is a fox.
You're just keeping me confused as to why I did what I did. I like both the introductions of these characters. I like that Robotnik is now having to deal with like I wish he didn't get out of it as quickly as he did at the beginning.
Yeah,
when he was trapped. I wish there was more time being in there. Really, anything that was like real world, I was just meh with.
Yeah.
And there's some certain logistical things that when you have a speedster and they're in a car driving, where it's like, this is not okay.
I mean,
This is not okay. You need to always be good. And that's what you're trying to get away from a fellow speedster is getting in a car and driving. That's crazy.
Who was fast in Sonic?
Tails and him get in a car and drive.
Yeah, but who are they running away from?
Knuckles.
Knuckles isn't that fast. He's got Knuckles.
They can do the speed. He does the speed just like Sonic does.
Does he?
Yeah, he does the exact same. Have you played the game? They do the same speed.
Well, yeah,
they have the same basic power level. He just has a big fist with spikes in it, and Tails is smart with gadgets.
And can fly.
Really, the only 2 differences, really. But yeah, anytime they were trying to do that, or like he was rollerblading or he's snowboarding, it's like, what is happening? Just go. Like, I get it.
Sonic, the first one, also had a nice vibe to it, where Sonic had this like anxious energy, and it like fit it matched the, he's fast, right? And so he's like a fast talker, and he's a fast, everything moved fast. Whereas this one, it was just more, they were in their voiceover studios and they cracked some jokes. Like it never really felt like Sonic. The character felt like Sonic in that first one, and it did not. Like this one, it was just like Ben Schwartz doing his Parks and Rec, like the worst.
Oh, I loved that part. I loved it. That was a joke for us. That was not for the kids. That was for us. A quick little Jean-Ralphio throw in, I can always take. And I want Mona Lisa in there too, doing something else. I think there's a few kids out there that I heard saying this was the best movie ever. And that's, to me, what matters about these films is what's the kids' grades for it, right? Especially because we're just aging out of this faster and faster. They had an end credit scene, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah!"
I mean, it was Shadow.
Did you really just spoil the end credit scene?
Who else is there?
Well, there was an end credits now, but we're gonna put it out soon.
There was an end credits.
That was a big one. That was a big one. Oh my god! I unplugged myself. You made me unplug myself.
And Sonic 1 had an end credits as well, where they were
anyway,
like, "Oh
I didn't
boy,
know.
we're gonna get."
I didn't know who that character was. I'm gonna bleep this out in post.
You didn't play the GameCube Classic?
I didn't play. I played the Sega Genesis game. That's it.
That's good.
So
that's the good.
Anybody further than that is like the Mortal Kombat series. You're just throwing random characters in at this point.
Kids will like most things that are funny, and so we could just make
dismissive of
better kids movies. Like there are great kids movies out there. This was not one of them.
This was never meant to be a good kids movie. It took.
Why do you make a bad? You think the producers got together and were like, "How can we make a terrible kids movie?"
I can show you the picture of what Sonic looked like before we came and said, "This is disgusting. Change your ways." And they did for the better.
Every director thinks they're making a good movie, right? Like
everybody has good intentions. Everybody has good intentions. That does not mean they have a good product. And they did not have a good Sonic. And they listened, which is good. And I think they're listening here with the sequel, where most people, I know you like the James Marsden stuff. Most people were saying we wanted more Sonic, and it needed to be a little bit more centered around him.
Okay, so for Sonic 3, what I want is plot and character development and things that make movies work.
This had the same plot as Rise of Skywalker. And I think for a kids movie, that's a pretty simplistic, easy to follow plot that isn't going to be horrendous to anybody watching. I don't think it's it's just a little bit more manufactured more than anything. Like maybe it's not original anymore, but
they're still making original kids movies.
There's still more jokes to it. And I don't know. If the kids like it, let them like it. I don't care. This one isn't going to make me go on the Sonic Discord and start cussing out people.
We can have a higher bar. That's all I'm saying.
But what is the high bar? Does everything need to be as good as
Mitchell's versus the Machines was a good kids movie?
Yeah, but that's still Chris and Lord and Miller, right?
Yeah.
So you really just want Lord and Miller to do all of the kids films.
They made a good. I mean, they have Into the Spider-Verse, and they have
quite Lego Movie. They've got a lot.
Lego movies have been good recently.
They have a lot, and I think they've got a good formula. But wouldn't you say that they have a more formulaic thing too going for their stuff? There's always a family-centric thing with it. There's somebody that maybe doesn't feel that they're special, then finds out that they're a little bit more special than they are. That's the same thing that they see in Lego Movie with Chris Pratt and Miles Morales' character and the daughter in Mitchell's versus the Machines.
But it's saying something. What did Sonic 2 really tell you?
It's formulaic a little bit. We just love the formula.
It's not just it's not just the one takeaway. They build that formula into everything, and it's actually carefully put together. And those are good, well-crafted movies. Sure, the message at the end of the day is the same between these three specific movies that we love. But the movies themselves, as you pick them apart, are really great products.
Mm.
Sonic 2 doesn't have a single theme to it. It's formulaic in the bad way, and also it wasn't saying anything. And as you pick apart the parts, the plot doesn't track, and they go from here to there without any reason. And it's just, we wanted to have a snow set piece. They don't go here to anywhere.
They drive
to snow.
If they went from here to there, I'd be more pleased because they were actually using the speed that I needed. But in the end, it's just kind of it's a similar themed story that we've seen before, but it's harmless. It's not something to be like. You know what was horrible? The Emoji Movie.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It's when it becomes product placement when I'm like horrified. This film did not have
That's
product placement, which tells me there was intent, and also tells me that the Sonic and Knuckles story at the end of the day, I loved seeing that those three were together, and that wherever they continue, it's going to be the three of them, and now they've got their own little kind of like triage. Like one's the big dumb guy that's like, I would love this ice cream and hitting stuff, and one's the smart person. They're making some Ninja Turtle moves that I'm kind of into, and they all seem to have the same matching colors to what the turtles' emotions were like too. Michelangelo and Tails kind of work together. Leonardo and Sonic kind of work
Tails is
together.
the Donatello. Tails is the nerd.
Yeah, but she doesn't have purple yet, or he doesn't have purple. That was the other thing. I kept confusing Tails with a girl. And at one point they said he, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
It was a very high voice.
He's a kid.
There's nothing to say about that. It's just a comment. I still enjoyed it, and I think the kids are gonna like it. You think kids will like it still?
Yeah, I guess.
I think it'll win the week, to be honest. I think Morbius is fairly dead. A lot of garlic landed on his face.
Yeah, Sonic 2.
The Bayhem, it might be real. The Bayhem might be real. They do a lot of fan service to the Bay fans, and they've got all the patriotic stuff, so it really could.
The final shot in the Nick Cage movie where it kind of moves down and Nick Cage is standing there against like a sunset and an American flag. That was better Michael Bay than I've seen in like 10 years.
He does some interesting things in this movie. So I am curious to what all of you guys think about this. Leave a comment down below, and thank you again for joining us. You can of course follow us on the Patreon on patrickbeattyreviews.com. We have these now on video on Spotify, so you can definitely check that out. Watch us from Spotify. We're just like Joe Rogan. No, we're not. We're not like Joe Rogan, but
we get paid less.
We got permission to do a thing from a company, and so now we're doing that thing, and it's pretty fun. Where can the people follow you, Cole?
On Twitter, I spout movie takes, food takes, and all kinds of other takes at Cole Wissinger, and I write my reviews on Inca Magazine. That's inquamag.com.
And don't forget, Cole actually really enjoys spoilers, so just send him over all the stuff that you can find out about some of these recent properties.
Tweet at me.
Tweet at him and tweet at me, Pat B Reviews, all that stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you at the next one.